start to build that sense of a company, and you also the little companies within that, the brother relationships. How long did you spend working on that?
Well, we had 8 weeks of what we called the Dwarf Boot Camp, which was we'd start off going to the gym and pushing ridiculous loads of weights, and then we would go to stunt rehearsals and learn how the dwarves fought, and then we would go to dwarf movement training with Terry Notary, the great Terry Notary, who does a lot of work with Andy on Planet of the Apes and other things. And we learned how to actually find our number one position, which was like having a bowling ball kind of set in your stomach, knees bent, really earthbound, so he sort of glided across the earth and with it. Thanks for that. I walk around town like that all the time in Wellington. People think I've done something in my trousers. And so we did that, and then when it came to the family units, we kind of left it up to the older family unit because I didn't really have a choice. He kind of took over, really. You can take over now anytime you like.
Well, we had 3 brothers, and of course all of you know that our younger brother was Adam Brown, who is sensational as Ori. But we sort of worked out that the 3 of us wanted to be quite close, although he was a thief and he was pretty removed from the family. I didn't want him to have any influence over Ori, because I wanted Ori to be a good, upstanding dwarf, and so I wanted to mother him. And it actually became quite tense at times, because I'd be trying to get Ori, as in Adam, to do things, and this bugger here would just try and disrupt things all the time, constantly. I know how poor Sadwin feels when Jed's trying to control things. Because Jed is a control freak, and but what was really important that came out of it, Jed and I have worked together many times in lots of things, and we've known each other for a long time, so the trust element was there, and Adam responded really well to that. So the 3 of us built this wonderful brotherly relationship with our I guess peccadillos. The fact that I was an anal retentive helped greatly.
You make it sound like Adam had a choice.
Yeah, you didn't. But you tried to struggle valiantly, but failed miserably. Yeah, but we love each other, and Ori, Nori and Dori are like that, with Jed just a little bit out there on the left.
It's so harsh. A lot of it was forged too by the nature of the way we shot it. I mean, sort of unusually, we did shoot it almost sequentially, didn't we? We started off at Bag End, and then we moved on, and we moved our way through the film. So we really did spend like almost, 6 days a week for almost 2.5 years together. So any sort of kinks we had with each other's personalities just got ironed out, because we spent all this time in the trenches together, and we just bonded, And that's testament to Peter and the casting. They chose people that would really work well together. It wasn't just about performance, it was about, can you work as a team?
Except for Graham McTavish.
Why? What did Graham do?
He's always mean to me.
Oh, is he? You were quite mean to Jed before, though.
No, but Graham was just...
Are you taking it out because he hassled you and you're passing it on?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the cycle of violence.
Not in the same violent way that Graham did.
Yeah.
Graham would just stand beside me and hit me.
But to be fair...
This is why Arzov wants to kill the hobbits. No.
But to be fair, you did used to stand close to him and just stare at him.
It was really, I used Mark for this. It used to really, I'm going to say this, I hope you don't mind, it used to really piss Graham off. We'd be doing a rehearsal for a scene, and Mark's about the same size as Graham McTavish, as you well know, who plays Dwalin. And gradually throughout the rehearsal, I just get myself closer and closer and closer, and just be standing and then slowly push my lower region into his leg. And then, exactly as Mark did it then, Graham would turn around and say, "Get away from me before I kill you!" But it was great fun. It was great fun. Yeah, good.
What did you think when you first started the film? What's the first scene you shot? Was that actually the arrival?
Yeah, we were lucky enough to watch. The first week was actually Andy and Martin doing the Gollum scene. So we got to go and watch that and freak out that we weren't quite as good as them. But we all started at Bag End, which was great to be able to walk into that set. Gandalf was there, Bilbo was there. We sort of had no choice. We had to go along for the journey. It was an amazing moment for all of us, I think, walking into that space. And that was a really good place to start because it was 13 individual dwarves or some family members coming together for a combined journey, a shared experience. And we had to agree to go with Thorin in the first place. So it was a bit of a trust exercise really, that Thorin was trusting that we would actually come to the party, because otherwise he would have been going on his own, which wouldn't have been good.
And what was working like with Richard Armitage?
We were all a bit like that around Richard.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my god, so dreamy.
It was quite hard work.
Armitage is in the house. Richard, well, my first experience with Richard was, because I went, like I said, I arrived a little bit later, so I went down to audition, and I had the audition with Aidan, and then Philippa was showing me around the set, and she went, let's go meet Richard. And I was like, okay. And he was doing vocal warm-ups in this trailer. And he was just so lovely to me from day one. And Richard really, he really wanted the relationship between Killy and Thorin to be, as genuine as possible. So he would really do his best to make us feel sort of comforted, especially me in my first week, because I was extremely nervous. And he's just a really lovely individual, isn't he? I'd follow him into Terrible.
Yeah, he's the king of men.
Yeah, I guess if you were, if you're a whole lot of dwarves and you whatever you are, he is honestly the leader, which is what you just said, and you would follow him, honestly. Even Richard Armitage, as Richard Armitage without the dwarf costume, you would follow Richard Armitage.
Many of you would as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Mark actually did. Mark did used to follow him down to the supermarket and all sorts of weird places.
As you will know, as this panel keeps going, Jed has quite a slight problem with his fantasies. He uses me to substitute himself for following Richard, actually to other worse places than that. That's why we kicked him out of home.
I asked this of the Lord of the Rings guys as well. Was there any particular time or scene in, all of the films, without talking too much about the third one? No.
I want to tell you guys so bad. We all do.
There was that one moment, remember, when we all...
Yeah.
And then another moment.
Yeah.
And do you remember when we...
Oh, yeah.
And then you did that.
And then you did that.
Evangeline Lily and Arzog.
Major spoiler alert. And then but it's actually a really touching scene. It's really beautiful. It's not what you think.
And then all the cake, and all those elephants. Go on, Mark.
One particular scene that you just thought, this is it, I cannot do this anymore, this has pushed me to my absolute limit.
Yeah, Dean and I have talked about this a lot actually. Scene 88.
Who have?
Dean and I.
What about me? I think I was just two.
You get your two. Scene 88, we sort of, it was a scene where we were running away from Azog and the Wargs, and it seemed to be a film within its own. We were sort of waiting it to be the fourth film actually, Scene 88. Peter said, we're going to run the length and breadth of New Zealand, and he wasn't joking. We literally did run the length and breadth of New Zealand. We thought we'd be transported between locations. We just ran between locations. And they filmed us running, carrying all of our gear with us, forever and ever, amen. And there was one day where we were up on the tops, and Dean looked at me and I was like this, and he said, can you do any more? And I went,
I felt really good about that because, not that you're in pain, but because Jed's the canary in the mine, so when he's like, but when he stops chirping, we're like, oh yeah, things are getting real. And so for Jed to turn around and go, I can't do it anymore, I was like, oh, okay, good. That makes me feel better, because I was about to say, I can't, because you didn't really, you wanted to serve Peter's a vision, and you didn't want to be like, I don't think I can do this anymore. So we'd also like mutually not say anything, but then be looking at Jed being like, Jed, say something, Jed, say something. Because Jed's the fittest, so if Jed's like struggling, we're like, okay, we're totally legit, we're struggling too.
I think I have to stand up and defend the older dwarves in the group now. Not just myself, but John Callan and Peter Hambleton and William Kircher. Because although these young, very fit young men were running, and it seems like they were the only ones in C88, actually, the old guys, they gave their all.
They were there, they just couldn't.
They were there and they gave their all. Yes! We will not be anxious.
It was just that they were in the deep distance.
Absolutely, but they were trying all the time, and we worked very hard. Everybody did, and it was hard work.
Up in Auckland, when we were filming Spartacus, that's the point where we'd say, "Shall I begin?" No, we had the same boot camp. It's funny that you guys were running the Hobbit boot camp, and just up north we were running the Spartacus boot camp at the same time. Yeah.
It was full of macho-ness, New Zealand, for a while, eh? Just nothing but boot camp people, fit people
The whole
walking
trend
around.
came out of New Zealand, like they're doing it at gyms all around the world. You know, there's all this boot camp thing that came out of New Zealand. Yeah.
I'm just in my sort of weird mind imagining the Spartacus guys getting together with the Hobbit guys on some weirdo episode of Spartacus.
I think one of the funniest things I remember seeing at boot camp was when we were all in our gym gear, which meant it was shorts and lycra and stuff, and they brought the boots over that Weta had, but these big, huge, they weighed about, 7 kg, 5 kg each, these boots. They were enormous.
They look like those speakers at the front there.
Yeah, they did.
It's like this.
You put them on.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, seriously. And we've all got our legs with shorts on, and we were given Terry Notary would give us now I want you to run around the room like you're dwarves. So there's these guys in this really modern gym gear with these huge boots on, running around the room. It was like a mental institution. It was fantastic.
It's ironic because I got into acting to avoid physical sports. And then I spent 2.5 years running around.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But there's also, it looked like there were some really fun things as well. I mean, the barrel sequence must have been a huge amount of fun.
Yeah, it was
The
like
barrel.
doing a theme park ride and getting paid to do it. It was the best of both worlds, really. And the biggest fun was actually going and doing it in the actual river, in Pelorus River, because it was such a beautiful location. They built these barrels with a big steel keel, which meant that they actually couldn't tip all the way over. And they put big inner tubes on the inside of them, or small inner tubes, for Mark.
You see what I mean?
And
This is constant. This started day one. Not just him. Not just him. Everyone. No wonder I have psychological problems. I mean, seriously, this is nothing. I feel so...
Sorry, Jen, what was that?
And so yeah, they had this safety cable about this far underneath the water, so the barrels would go down and hit the cable, and they made us all cry. Okay, no. And the barrels would come down, and then we'd get down to this little bit of beach and then get out, and it was fantastic. Then they built a river.
Yeah. One of the great things about that week was that there was all the stunt guys who were our stunt guys who were supposed to, if we felt like we could get out and they could go in the barrels for us. Not one of them got in the barrels the whole week. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's true. Especially on the inside sort of river that they made for us, you probably heard us talk about it, but they built like basically a vlog flume ride, and they pushed us around with these big V8 motors, so it created like a whirlpool effect, and we'd jump in the barrels and we'd float around. And we sort of had a camera on a rig, sort of like this camera, it sort of would move around, it would move past you. And on the first day, we were having so much fun, we'd be like, woo! And then the camera would come up and be like, yeah. 14 hours. We did it 14 hours. We're still having fun.
We looked like actually leather after we took our hands off, which we had these hands that Weta gave us the babies to have fat hands. You took them off, and you had when you've been in the bath too long. And I mean, seriously, you were it was like leather, but it was just the best.
Well, you still haven't recovered from that.
You see, lowest form of comedy, personal attack. He can't do comedy. That's why he does these jump around the stage like someone with St. Vitus dance.
Anyway, moving on to something.
I thought you were going to be good in this.
Something positive, because we are going to